Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laureli Shimayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest, many online. Today is our online awakening panel, and our theme today is self-empowerment and self-sabotage. There are 7 of us on the panel tonight that will be talking about the theme and answering questions. It's free to be here to listen and learn, and it's a small price to ask a question of the panel. And this is a great opportunity to practice opening your intuition. I encourage all of you to get a pen, pencil, whatever you want to draw or write with, and get something to scribble on. It could be on your phone, and take notes, whatever shows up for you. It's a great opportunity to see if what comes for you is connected to what we're connecting with as well. We're going to go through and have the practitioners introduce themselves first. And practitioners, let's aim, and I'm getting everything in the chat. Thank you. I'll work with that in just a moment. Practitioners, let's go through and just share about yourselves first, and then let's share about the theme. So share about your work generally as the initial round. Take a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back around and talk more about the theme. Let's see. So maybe let's start at just a similar layer that we did before. I think it was Susy, Brooke, Dr. Joe, and then I think it was DoveLight, Angie, Evangelia, myself. So yeah, go ahead. Susy, go ahead and tell us about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Laureli. Hey, everyone. It's Susy Parker Goins of Blue Lightning Healing. I am a channel, so I bring source through in a variety of ways, and it presents to you in whatever way it's going to make you feel most comfortable so you can relax into the healing. So whether you want me to talk to your spirit guides, I can argue with them, I can even embody them in such a way that you can have a direct conversation with them. I've been working with ancestors, opening up to mediumship, and also I not just channeling, it's past lives I look at, because I find that a lot of things that we have in this lifetime can be traced back not only to an ancestral origin point, but also to a past life origin point. So the Greek lifetime wasn't so good to you and it gave you a particular mindset about superiority or whatever. We can look at that and we can talk to that lifetime and release it and move on. I've worked a lot with inner children too, reclaiming them, having them come back into your heart. As far as being an energetic healer, yeah, I do Reiki and I can do body scans. The body holds a lot of emotions and even trauma in so that you're carrying it forward in your lifetime. We can look at that. I am very much a conversationalist with spirit. We chat it up and we find out what it is you need to know in the moment so that you can release or shift, move forward. Let's see. Nope, that's a lot of what I do. We do what's needed in the moment. So, I'm looking forward to having conversations here. I'm excited about talking with these practitioners and hearing your questions. I'm at www.bluelightninghealing.com. I have a special in MeWe 20 for 20% off a longer session. And you can reach me at Susy, that's SUSY, at bluelightninghealing.com. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Susy. Brooke.
Just glancing back in the chat so I can remember that coupon code. Hopefully I'll remember it in a couple of minutes. My name is Brooke Bucci, and I am a multidimensional energy healer, shamanic journey practitioner, intuitive guide. I come to this work after being, and still am, a nurse midwife for the last 12 years. I've attended over 1,100 births as the delivering provider, and also thousands of births, helping families bring in souls from the other side. And a couple of years ago, I began to feel very restricted within the healthcare system and really wanted to expand my work. And so I moved into energy work, and now my path is being a midwife to the soul, to help those that are going through the awakening process, or even those that are not, that I work with many in that transition and in the rebirth of themselves, to take off the layers of wounding and move through and find their true selves, their higher, reconnect in with your higher self. And so that very much focuses on inner child wounding, which I'm sure, is going to come up tonight. Birth trauma, sexual trauma. I do work with families that want to connect in consciously to the souls that are coming in on this onto the planet through them, through their family, to do that in a conscious way. And I work with people that want to connect in with that time, that pre-birth time, to identify what their life purpose, what was the choice of coming into this lifetime. So the things that I offer is energy transformation through shamanic journey and intuitive guidance. I do a lot of work with women on sacred womb healing and second chakra healing, if you have a womb or not. I believe all of us have womb chakra work to do, but we can call it second chakra work as well. Again, much of our trauma is held here. I provide energetic support for conception, pregnancy, and postpartum, and I'm also an emotion code practitioner. My website is journeywithbrooke.com. I am in Edmonds, Washington. I do mobile appointments occasionally in people's homes if you're within 30 minutes of where I am. And I also do in-person in Edmonds and a lot of virtual work as well. My coupon's in the chat, but it is MeWe 15% off a 75-minute session. I look forward to working with everyone tonight. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Brooke. Dr. Joe is next.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe. I worked as a psychologist for many years. I had a private practice for 13 years. And then similar to Brooke, I wanted to incorporate more of a holistic practice. So I switched to working just with women as a holistic coach and also yoga teacher, mindfulness meditation. So I offer things like individual coaching, as well as individual yoga, meditation, different styles of yoga. I'm trained in a lot of different styles, and as well as meditation and mindfulness. And I do intuitive work and healing work in those modalities. And my mission is to help women celebrate their identity, and I said it wrong before, and then boldly use their voice and proudly take up space. And my I think my coupon code is for 50% off the first session of either yoga or coaching. And I don't know, I think it's MeWe. Oh, yeah. Well, that was it. Okay, I don't know if my coupon code is up there, but it's MeWe 50.
Okay, I'll go add
So
it.
I have this special for, yeah, could you, it's MeWe 50, and that's 50% off the first yoga session or the first coaching session, or you can do a half and half session.
And someone was asking, where are you located?
Yeah, I do all my sessions virtually. So I'm in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, but I see so that way I can see clients across the world. Actually, I have some in different country, but I see people all over the place. So that's kind of after COVID, I shut my office, my psychology practice, and I just work from home since then, which is kind of nice. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Laureli.
Great, thank you. You're welcome. DoveLight is next.
Hello, everybody. My honor and blessings to be in your presence. I'm DoveLight. I'm from the Great Spirit. I was born in Peru. I'm from indigenous Amazonian ancestry. I'm right now in New York, and I have elders from the north as well as learning from the ancient traditional Mayan cosmology. I just a regular person like everybody else who has just a journey, and in her path was committed to go back to your heart, to your soul, to spiritually, but it's so hard sometimes to see it. And at those moments, sometimes it gets so difficult because we generally don't know any different. And through passing through that different, with ended up being the way it was supposed to be, I was called to step in more into the public and more into who I am. And like I said, what I am, I'm just a regular person. And as a regular person, I do have a connection with the divine, and like everybody else. And we do have a connection with what you loved. And love has many different forms. I was born very intuitive. I was passing through a challenging childhood, like many of us has been. And through that learning process, I learned what to do and what not to do regarding spirituality, and reconnecting to that love, reconnecting to the love of spirituality, the way it might uniquely be for you, is what helped me to open up more spiritually. Through that, I do have the little tiny understanding of our multidimensionality, just like most indigenous cultures around the world understand the elements as part of oneness, like fire, water, wind, earth. We have a physical body, we have a mental body, we have an emotional body, we have a spiritual body among the ancestrals and the crystal and the karmic, but they shift to, they move to different frequencies. And sometimes the spiritual body wants to do something. Okay, let's conquer the world, let's learn forgiveness, let's get caught up. But what about the emotional? What the emotional is not going to process the same way. Or the physical, my tummy hurt, I cannot meet this person this time. No. I'm going to say no to that job because it's too scary. What if I fail? So it's very important to be aware that within a single person, it's multidimensionality. There is multi ways to process and understand things. And one of the beautiful things about working with the elements and actually building and rekindling a connection with the elements, it's to work with them. They stop being strangers and they come when you call them. Everything has a spirit. I do love reading fire. I do love reading water. I do love reading the smoke. I do love reading crystals. I love reading tarot because the images, the archetypes goes to the subconscious, the present time, which I just love. Spirituality, it has many forms. So through that, I can bring divine insights pertaining through your souls. Through the frequency of your voice, which is connected to your soul, I can get information just by listening to it. Sometimes we say something, but in reality, we're feeling different. And that I cannot explain how it comes. It's just know that it's like an inner knowing. And through that, we can understand at this moment in what part of your journey you need support or help. Perhaps it's something like a past life regression that's still going on in your energy field, because the power is in the present moment, but your subconscious might still be holding on to something, protection. Usually the blockages that we have, either past life, ancestral, or, or inner child, usually all those things that we block is out of protection. It's not a way of love, but it's not necessarily a healthy love. It helps us at the present moment. It helps us before, but not now. So I just wanted to honor that. We also have a coupon from 20% off any reading of choice and sessions. We can read something about you that you need to talk at this moment, or maybe a past life. We can see if there is something in ancestral healing that's been entangled in, light of the soul retrieval. We do one crystal extraction with Marcel Boger, which I love his work. We can clear some codes if we need to be clear. We do shamanic journal. I work with the divine. I work with Angelic. I have more things in my website if you want to check them out, DoveLightOracle.com. Yeah, and that's it. I hope I'm better and better into explaining myself clearly, because I'm also learning as well as you guys. Thank you, everybody. I love being with everybody.
Thank you so much, DoveLight. I think Angie next, and then Angelia. I'm trying to remember the order.
I think so. I'm Angie. I'm a spirit energy guide and a manifesting coach, and self-empowerment and self-sabotage is right up about what I teach. I mean, we are such powerful creatures here, and we all get stuck in creating, because through the law of attraction, we are all creating by what we're emitting. And many times when we're stuck in it and we're going in through the routine and the cycle of what we've always been doing, not understanding why are we not getting what we want. We can think we see what we want, but why are we not getting there? And many times we are self-sabotaging without even understanding how it's happening. And that comes through understanding breaking old belief systems and pushing that intentional will out in the correct manner and in the right signal. And so I love talking about this. I love helping people find what they're missing. I'm adept at being able I am also a channel for source, higher self to higher self. A lot of my Coaching sessions are intuitive. I know what spirit tells me what it is that you're going to need at this particular time to be able to change your perception. And that is what we're trying to do here, is to change your perception at how powerful you are at actually creating what you want in this real 3D experience we have, not just up here, but bringing it into this reality. And by not sabotaging ourselves, doing it by empowering ourselves in very intentional movement. So you can see me at universalrestorativeenergy.com or Angie at universalrestorativeenergy.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Angie. Evangelia.
Okay, I'm going to do my best because I wear many hats to make this as simple as possible. I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I'm 100% Greek. So I grew up in a very strict, restricted kind of environment. I've experienced many traumatic events in my life, including being raped, molested, abused every day, physically, mentally, spiritually. I was an addict. I was misled and hung out with the wrong people. I did a lot of drugs, and I was told by the time I was 18 that I wasn't going to have children, that I destroyed my uterus from the rape and the miscarriage. And so I was carrying around a lot of a victimhood mindset. I wasn't understanding the side effects of having a negative subconscious mind and the perception it was creating for my reality, and the side effects, the physical side effects of PTSD, unresolved CPTSD, childhood trauma, led my body to have a very compromised immune system, a very false subconscious mind, a hijacked nervous system. I was chronically in fight or flight, which led my body to severe illness, which led to debilitation and being bedridden for 6 years. But I did have those children I was told I wasn't supposed to have. I had 2 children. It took a lot, but I had them. And during me being a stay-at-home mom, and I've been a hairdresser for 28 years, I forgot to mention that, and a holistic life coach for 25 years. But until my own health started to fail and my kids were little and I became bedridden, I really had to go down the rabbit hole because conventional medicine, unfortunately, was failing me. They wanted me to do all these immune therapies. I was on a lot of pharmaceuticals. I was seeing very different psychologists and keeping the traumas trapped in my body. And so when I discovered what our cells do and Dr. Bruce Lipton, and read all his books, I realized that my own subconscious mind and the traumas that I'd lived through were sabotaging my organs, my immune system, everything, my mind. So there was a point where I became suicidal because I was being diagnosed with MS and early Parkinson's. And I surrendered my life to a power much greater than me, a God I didn't know. And that was the day like this visualization came and what I needed to do to heal. And it was like, I got bold words in front of my face. People think I'm crazy, but I got renew the mind, reprogram the nervous system, boost the immune system. And so I had to go down the rabbit hole of what was it going to take for me to do that? And it was all of this outside the box, what they call woo-woo, frequency healing. So all the alternative things that helped me heal and reverse my vibration in my entire life to get me to where I'm at now, living a higher vibration, healthy immune system. I became certified in every single modality because my Reiki healer was amazing. Learning how to do subconscious reprogramming with Psych K, I had to become certified in the energy psychology. I had to become certified in theta healing, in just all these amazing things to help. So I'm right now in my journey, I host healing retreats for women and children that have been abused or needing an escape. I have a retreat house on Orcas Island on an energy vortex so people can get really grounded to do the heart and soul retrieval, to release all these things that have sabotaged them in a sacred, safe space. Been doing that for a few years and it's been amazing because the universe I've helped women that have been sexually abused, trafficked, kidnapped, medical abuse, you name it. And I'm just super grateful to be a part of this community, to given this opportunity to communicate with more people that are in this amazing world of healing, and how we can take our power back. And I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for the whole thing. So you can find me at cellularhealthandbeauty.com. And I'm offering 50% off my first session. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's the first time I've heard your whole story, or at least that much of the story. Wow. Oh gosh. Well, I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. When I read your eyes, I'm doing what I think we all do. When you think about when you meet someone with dark sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, there's so much missing. And as soon as you see their eyes, there's so much there. I believe that eyes are a window to the soul, and I believe they're also the window to our soulmates. We all are choosing the same kinds of eyes over and over again. If you look at past partners, I know we're all really good at seeing each other. So I'm reading your eyes to read your soul and help you better understand your path, your purpose. I can help you see the lessons of accepting and coming to love who you are, to express the best of you in the world. So I can help you navigate through those blocks, and a lot of them show up in your body. Your body gives me information about where you're stuck, as well as your eyes. And your body is also a great tool for shifting and moving and opening, for kind of demonstrating the energy of what's happening, and then also for creating shifts that you create yourself by the patterns that you do in movement and intention. And I love to use my work for matchmaking. I use my eyes, use what I see in people's eyes, and then also what I pick up in people's energy to match people, to match soulmates to each other. And yeah, I just love to use this work for helping people be the best of who they are and see who to connect with, to be empowered and to collaborate and to create a great impact in the world. So you can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com, matchmakingsoulmates.com, and I do a 20-minute complimentary mini session. You can do that at schedulelaureli.com. That's in the chat. And yeah, just tons of different things at all kinds of different events. All right. Well, seven of us are here today to talk about self-empowerment and self-sabotage. I'm going to say again that it is free to be here to listen and learn, and it's a small price to ask a question of the panel. You can ask a question about the theme, and you can ask a question about anything. And we're going to jump into talking a bit about the theme, so we can start going in the same order. And anyone that wants to, well, at first, I guess just to say, does anyone want to jump in and share anything else about their background? From having heard each other, often sometimes we'll think of different things. Okay, great. So let's go around and we'll talk about the theme a bit, and yeah, we'll have a chance to come around too if you think of something else. Yeah, so we'll just start with Susy, and go ahead, take a minute and a half, whatever shows up about the theme. Go ahead. Yeah, self-empowerment.
Okay, cool. Cool, thanks. It's interesting, and as I look on my last month or two, it's like that's actually what I've been working on, is where I've been sabotaging myself when it comes to being more fully who I am. We call it success. So I had to look at what is success to me. And so I looked back and saw what my childhood said success was. And it's so much different than what I consider to be success. It's not, for me, it's not a big house. It's not being part of a country club. It's not having one of those professions that everybody thinks is so godlike. And I'm like, no, I'm happy. My children talk to me and I have a good time with them. I enjoy doing what I do, and I'm learning new things about it. So I dove in to see what now, we calling it here self-sabotage. So there was guilt in there, guilt about doing what I do, not having some sort of occupation that other people accepted. And so I found that a lot of the blockages, a lot of the resistances I had were based on external impressions, external things that everybody was telling me I should be doing. And that word should just makes me go, I strive to not use that word. But so as I'm diving deeper, and I use a variety of techniques for that, I'm looking and talking to the inner child who was thought to be too odd, who was didn't fit into somebody's mold. Talking to her and asking her what she needed in the moment. She needed acceptance, so I can accept her. I can love her, and I can say, you looked really good on that Saturday. I was impressed with you dressing up. Or, as much as she honored those authority figures around her, she recognized that that's not her path. So I get to show her now, this is what I'm doing. And I get to be on these panels, and I get to do events, and I get to to do the things that makes me happy, which is in fact helping people to grow. And I get to grow because, you know, as you heal, I heal, as I heal, you heal. So I'm helping that shift to happen. And so as a result, I do feel like I am more empowered to do the things, talking to other practitioners who are friends of mine, or exploring those deep things and not being shy about it, finding those people around me I can feel comfortable with, so we can dive deeper into it. There's no judgment there. And I think that's a part of that self-sabotage, is judging yourself or taking on other people's judgment. So I get to say, no, no, that's not my thing. I don't have to do it your way. I'm doing it my way. Sorry, you don't like it. It's not my problem. Yeah, so going along with that, and I do light language around it whenever I need to, you know, setting my intention. Oh, let's look at guilt today. Let's look at this, let's look at that, and then I'll light language it. And it's helped me feel more confident in what I do. And yet I do recognize that this is being of service to others, and I get to enjoy what I do, and I get to talk to people I love talking to, and I recognize just how amazing and how successful that is for me. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Susie. Brooke is next.
Again, my name is Brooke. I had my first awakening in my 20s, the moment in time I came into understanding that that I am more than just this physical body, that that we are all connected, that what I do and impacts another, that we are all one. And I did a lot of therapy from that point of time in my life, and a lot of talk therapy. And I had myself a lot of trauma in my childhood, sexual abuse trauma, neglect. And so, like I said, I did years of talk therapy and came to the realization about 10 years ago that it wasn't quite getting me there, that I understood things here in my head, but they had not moved in to my heart and down into my intuitive knowing. And I did not feel and understand the truth and worthiness of myself, and that I had other layers of work to do, energetically and body work. And I think I not only in this lifetime, I perceive that I have lived trauma in other lifetimes, and in many lifetimes that was sexual trauma as a woman, and just really embedded concepts, belief systems, conditioning that I had of unworthiness, that I needed to bring so much love and healing to. And so I do perceive that many of us, when we want to come into a lifetime that we're going to awaken and embody the divinity of the truth of ourselves, we sometimes have pretty harsh realities. We choose a lifetime that has some trauma in it and has some harsh realities to be the contrast. This earth right now is still this dual place where we need to see the opposite and come into the opposite and experience the opposite of the truth in order to awaken. And that those that kind of culture or tribal kind of consciousness we are born into, our systems kind of react and want to revolt against it. And that is us coming back in and awakening our true selves, our highest self, and our innermost knowing. And that is a process that that everyone here, but that I know intimately. And so it's been difficult, and still there's days that innate worthiness, I have to really do the work around inner child, just embracing and loving my inner child, and reparenting her. And so that work is quite innate to me. And again, why I am able to help others very much heal that aspect of themselves. I work with and channel my guides that are called they call themselves the Divine Mother Collective, is very loving, feminine, maternal energy to help you love and reappreciate and re-find, the true innate worthiness that you have. And so that we're not self-sabotaging, retelling the stories of how we're not worthy to create the life that we want to have. So that's enough for now, and I'll let somebody else go.
Thanks, Brooke. Let's see, I'm losing track of my order. Yeah, Dr. Joe's next. Great.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking about sabotage, and just yesterday I was talking to a client, and she said, my son came home, he's an adult, and everything is going so well. I'm getting along with my husband. I've been happy these last couple of weeks. I don't know what to do. I'm so terrified. And I said, of course you are. You're used to chaos. You're used to catastrophe. So you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think sometimes with sabotage, of course, it's when we don't feel worthy. It's also when we don't feel comfortable with what is unknown. So we can kind of sometimes create a disaster because that's what we're used to. Or if something positive is happening, we don't feel like we deserve it. So we kind of create a situation that undoes the positive. And a lot of times self-sabotage is also about fear and self-doubt. So, any kind of change, if it's positive or negative, is frightening. So if we are going to make a positive step forward, that might be too scary. So we will sabotage our forward progress too. And in terms of self-empowerment, I think the first thing to do is make a list of, or just in your mind, come up with what your priorities are. And then just a lot of self-awareness about, where am I holding myself back? What kind of thinking patterns are holding me back? What kind of people in my life may be holding me back? Look at your friendships and decide what people are giving me energy and what people are just taking from me. Because sometimes we feel like we have to hold on to friends forever because they were friends, but sometimes people are in your life for a certain amount of time, and then they've served their purpose. That sounds horrible, but it's time to move on. And it's safe to let people go in a nice way. You don't owe people your presence forever. And then also just setting goals for what you want to do, and then proceeding and getting help if you need help. And the other thing I wanted to mention is self-care. I think when we think of self-care, it's often like getting a manicure or getting a massage. Now I'm all for that too, but it's also things like saying no, or going to your doctor appointments regularly, taking a mental health day, not going to work, or something like, setting boundaries. Those little things that are, or giving yourself positive affirmations, those are all self-care too. They're more subtle, but actually probably more profound. So those are also ways to empower yourself. And I also think education is one of the main ways to practice empowerment too, because the more you know, and it can be any kind of education, but the more you know, and if you're always learning, then you're always sort of staying ahead of the game, and you're always giving yourself something to keep you sort of active and interested in life and engaged. So that's another idea that I had. I'll stop for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Joe. DoveLight's next.
Okay. Hey everybody. self-sabotage and self-empowerment. Oh no, I know self-sabotage because I've been trying to get a master in self-sabotage all my life. Trust me. Sometimes, first of all, we all have traumas. We all have difficult times. We all have past. It's part of life. We have date. We have night. We have water. We have fire. We have masculine and feminine, and so much more. It goes beyond that. But there is duality in this planet, and it's inevitable that we're going to pass through dark moments in our life, or very challenging. But with the dark comes the light, and with the light comes the dark. So self-care or self-love, it might feel different for everybody, and we might not have to reach a specific point that we're all perfect and we're 1000% ready and all that, and that's okay. Self-empowerment, self-sabotage, it's all about allowing yourself time to get to know self. And sometimes, unfortunately, because kids are so precious, especially in the spiritual realms, kids are so high evolved souls, and they learn, they absorb, they think, and it stays in the subconscious. Sometimes it's an instinct that all these negative things that we learn from each other, we learn them to the point so good that we forget who we genuinely are. Every single one of us, independently of their soul contracts or soul lessons or soul challenges you came to hear, came as a pure divine light. Even now, no matter what have you done in your life, you still have a pure divine light with you. It was never untouched or impure. However, through living our human experience, we learn. And I'm not saying that I'm backing up the negative things happen. It was good for us, because it wasn't, and it's not our fault in many cases. But we have the ability to transform that into wisdom if we get to choose and we allow it to do so. And it can be hard, because one of the most scariest things that you can do when you're not used to is to look inside or get to know yourself. It's so easy to give to others. It's so easy to praise others. It's so easy to help others, to go back and beyond for others, because it's scary. Sometimes we are not aware. We're so scared to see our own faults. We still believe that we are not worth it, that we're guilty, and it was our fault, our fears. It's so easy to block it. It's so easy for our subconscious to think, I don't want to get to know me because I'm a monster, or it was always my fault that people were fighting, or if because of me that my dad didn't love me, there must be something wrong with me. And it gets so scary to the point that we don't allow ourselves to get to know who we genuinely are. Because if we genuinely allow time just to be with yourself and get to know yourself the same way that you will do with a friend, with a kid, with somebody, you will discover that you are not as bad as you thought you were. But to jump to it, to have the willingness, I want to empathize that it can be scary sometimes. It's not the most healthiest choice to live in fear, to get to know yourself, to hear your own voice, to know, to even imagine that you can have a happy future. Sometimes for a person who feel that it's not worth living, who is not worth happiness, even to imagine something happening, it can be so hard. And I just wanted to say that everybody who's watching this recording, who are here present, that you are not alone. And many of us, through our own path, have passed through similar things. And here we are talking to others about it. We are not perfect, we're still learning, but we have a little bit, or maybe a lot of consciousness to understand that if you genuinely allow yourself to get to know yourself, you generally are becoming what we call bliss, or heaven on earth, even it might not look. And through phrasing that frequency, not because the frequency is Vessel's words, just being genuinely who you are already changing your world. You are already healing your lineage. You are already healing the community. You become a more kinder person to yourself and to others. And I just wanted to honor that, the self-empowerment. It's easy. It's not easy, but I'm saying that it's about the choices that you make. The choices, like our friends were saying before, making an appointment to go to the gynecologist, or getting the blood work done, or going for a date can be so scary. I don't want to date. Who will love me? It's easier to say, oh, nobody loves me. I'm fat, or I'm too skinny, or who will date me? Nobody is gonna ever date me. So it's easier, trust me, because that's the frequency or the space that we're so used to. But the truth is, it's not the truth. It's the perception that we have about the situation. And in order to change it, for some, perhaps we're gonna give you many tools, but one of the most important tools that it has worked for me in my life, and I always been grateful to the divine, it's the angelic word, the divine word who guide me through compassionate people. When I was doing a lot of spiritual work and a lot of healing work, it was the compassion was from outside person who actually guide me to see my own compassion, to actually learn how to even be compassionate to myself. And it is true, you are your self-healer. It's about self-love, and you have the power to heal yourself. But sometimes when you're so used to don't even see yourself as a human, sometimes it's so important to have somebody, anybody. And I'm not, with this, I'm not saying give your power away to anybody, but sometimes it's so important to allow ourselves to be loved and to be touched by a healthy form of love in order for it to start seeing the possibility, the aid. Perhaps I can heal. Perhaps I can be liked. Perhaps I can be loved. And I just want to honor that it seems like an easy journey, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is. But just the fact that you are here, just the fact that you're willing to be open, just the fact that you're curious and be willing to change, it's like huge steps in the spiritual realm. So thank you, everybody. I pass it to the next person so I don't speak too much.
Thank you so much, DoveLight, Angie, and then Evangelia.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of go backwards. I didn't really talk about myself a little bit, and it's kind of the reverse track of Evangelina, which I think I said that right. I'm not sure. But I started out, as a young kid in very religious background, where I learned very quickly that I was unworthy unless I asked for outside help. I needed to be good all the time so I could get to heaven and not hell. And I just came with all these old beliefs that I really had found foundation of myself. So that led to me, of course, not liking myself and not being able to do for myself, which made me frustrated. So I started doing drugs, and I had really bad OCD, and I was on antidepressants, and I couldn't sleep, and I had bad dreams. And, I was super unhappy, and I was married twice. And I just kept sabotaging myself by these old beliefs that I had stuck, that I could not let go of, because I didn't think I was worthy, because I was taught I was not worthy. You are not worthy to do for yourself. You must ask others, ask for an outside help to do for you. So the self-empowerment happened when I finally, in 2020, which was only a few years ago, discovered meditation and Reiki and playing with energy. And I was also in school for a few years at the very end of my counseling to become a counselor. And I realized by diagnosing people, you're just giving them a word to create off of. And then they start to shadow themselves around this diagnosis. And how do I fit into this diagnosis, when really, if their spirit was involved, there could be a psychological and spiritual shift that happens. So when I started to understand through feeling my own power, my own spirit, that this was my things I was doing to myself, all of a sudden I realized, well, I don't have to fix everybody else. I don't have to ask for outside help and wait for that to happen. I can fix everything. I am in control of it, of myself. And so I started to do those intentional shifts, and I still was constantly triggered with the old beliefs I had often. And so by having this intentional empowerment of being able to do for myself, I could sit in the moment and think, okay, what is triggering me? Why do I feel this way? How do I feel about it now? And I can reevaluate how I feel. And so I was able to give up what I need to control and work on the ebb and flow of life. Like Joe said, letting things go when they're no longer serving you, having them in when they do serve you for what you're needing at that moment, trusting yourself, trusting your gut. A lot of the times your gut is telling you what you should be doing and your mind is telling you something different, but that we trust that first instinct, that our spirit, that's our first spiritual instinct, is your gut feeling. And then we start to hear the intuition when we open up and say, Spirit's talking to us. You know, the other side of the spirit that we can't see because we're focused on everything we're looking at in this 3D, we can't see. And they're seeing what we can't see, and they're giving us this information. And so we can bring that in and start to realize how we are feeling about things today and move with that empowerment of it. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of my background, since I found that, you know, in 2020, I found the meditation and my spirit, all the intuition. So once I let go of those old beliefs, the channeling started. Everything came in a flow of energy, of information. I'm getting downloads and spiritual guiding so I can guide others, and I can understand the trauma that I went through so I can help guide others through that trauma. I was able to get off my antidepressants. I was on that for 22 years, no longer on antidepressants. I no longer have OCD. I sleep just fine. I don't have nightmares. I have taken control of my life because I am now emanating what I want to out of my chakras. I'm giving the universe what I want it to design around me for my reality. And I'm able to live the reality that I see and I imagine for myself because I feel it fully in my spirit. And that is what self-empowerment is for us, is to be able to produce exactly what we see ourselves as, and not sabotaging us from the old beliefs that we have been taught. So that's it.
Thanks so much. So exciting. Evangelia is next.
Can I just make one comment? I love what you said, Angie, and I'm supporting you 100%. I agree with you. I just wanted to make one comment about medication, because for any audience members who might be on medication, that's not a bad thing or
It's
a
not.
weakness. Absolutely not. And some people have to be on medication indefinitely, and there's nothing wrong with. I'm on medication, and I do all the meditation and all the spiritual work too, and that's just the way my brain is. So there's nothing wrong with that either. I just wanted to make that point.
And I thank you that you said that, because I absolutely want you to. I was on it because I was depressed, angry, frustrated, and anxious.
Yep.
And so I took care of those things a different way, but many other people have it for various different reasons that are very appropriate, and spirit works within those too.
Exactly. And I knew you meant that. I just wanted to make sure if somebody heard that. And thanks
for that clarification.
Thanks for the collaboration and clarification. All right, Evangelia.
And to piggyback off literally almost everyone, I also want to tell the crowd and everyone that's listening that you can get off medications, because I was on every medication for bipolar, ADHD, depression, insomnia, nerve pain, so many things that I was told that I couldn't function without them. And I failed to mention in the beginning of my little bio that I'm a blood and cell analyst. I look at blood and cells under a dark field microscope, so I can analyze people's blood and cells to see the vibration, the frequency, and what's happening in their terrain, whether it's trauma or a pathogen. In most cases, it's the vibration of unresolved traumas. And so unresolved trauma creates a sabotaging, self-lacking, self-limiting belief system. So if you've been traumatized as a child and you didn't have nurturing, you didn't have a support team, you weren't seeing a counselor or getting proper guidance, then we learn to self-cope, which is a negative self-coping. And we learn to turn outside ourselves to seek for all these other things because we've been told, oh, take that and that'll make you feel better. Go see this person. That is like giving our power away to every single thing, and not knowing that we actually, like Angie said, we have all the power within us. Like the fact that I'm watching the way the creator created us out of trillions of cells, and what's controlling the cells, what our cells are responding to, they're responding to our subconscious mind, because it's the field from our mind and our brain. There's an actual field around the vibration of our own thoughts. The words that are coming out of our mouth are vibrational. So our cells only respond to our sensory system and our environments and sounds and vibrations. So when you're thinking and living off of I call it a victimhood mindset, because I'm someone that walked that path of being in an environment growing up with all these catastrophic events happening to me, and not having my mom or my dad or teachers or anybody really there to hold space for me to talk. And it was like, shove it under the rug, right? So You grow up with, I'm not worthy. Nope, nobody wants to hear me. I'm not lovable. Well, maybe if I do this and become a giver, and that's what I did. I became this empathic giver. I was just like, the only way I could get connection with people is I was giving, but then I wasn't able to receive. And it was like, I would sabotage every relationship that was trying to give or trying to love. And it was like, nope, you're not worthy. Nope, you don't deserve it. Don't you remember? And it was like all these little narratives in my head reminding me what my parents told me I was. You're a whore. You're a troublemaker. You don't belong. What's wrong with you? So there's millions of people that are walking around with this self-sabotaging mindset subconsciously, aren't even aware of it. They're carrying extra weight because of their belief system, or it's a coping mechanism of all these things. So because I had to go through this journey of, oh my gosh, I'm living off of a victimhood mindset. I don't believe I'm ever going to heal from this debilitating illness. I think there's something wrong with me. Look at all these medications I'm on. I'm crazy. Oh, something's wrong with you. Something's always going to be wrong with you. And that's just who you are. And until it was alternative practitioners that were like, no, you're sabotaging yourself. You're amazing. It's like, who are you talking about? And so going through the journey of actually talking and discovering what my subconscious mind believed, I didn't love myself. I wasn't confident. I didn't have any kind of self-love or feeling that I had the ability to become someone or something. It was, even if I wanted to become that, I had 95% of my brain was like, no, you can't. So that's where brain rewiring came into play. I had no idea what brain rewiring was, what brain retraining was, what trauma release was. And so when I got to really see my blood and cells, they're like little bees just buzzing around. And my practitioner was like, we got to get those to be humming, like swimming and floating. And so that was where I learned about grounding, and like Angie and Dr. Joe, the yoga and the breathing, and really calming my inner child so that I could go down the journey back to my past and heal those wounds as a child. Because until I was able to really release those sabotaging beliefs about myself, get my nervous system reprogrammed to where it was strong and grounded and okay to go back, I was able to literally love and give back that little girl all the love and the attention that she needed. And so I can identify with people just talking with them, hearing them speak, just like I'm trying to see DoveLight. I can hear it and feel the vibration of the unresolved suffering or the belief system that the sabotaging or and it kills me, just like Brooke was saying about the feeling unworthy, and Angie speaking about like all of this disruption that's happening because of our own belief system that's running on a subconscious level that's controlling everything. And so I'm just here to just be like a testimony of going from a victimhood subconscious mind of I'm not worthy, you are nothing, you're sick, you're crazy, to I have now my own cheerleader, my own self-empowerment coach, running in the subconscious mind, motivating me. And there's no birdie saying, no, you can't. It's like, you got this, try it. You're never going to know until you get in there. And it's like, sometimes I look like, is that really me talking to myself? And so I empower others to really discover what those limiting beliefs are, because honestly, you have to work with a practitioner. You can't discover those all by yourself. You can't just take a journal and go, well, I want to love myself. I love that affirmation, and then go over it over and over and over again. There's actual modalities out there like Psych-K and DNSR and NLP that can literally rewire and retrain your entire belief system so that your cellular system responds to that. And it's like, hey, did you hear that? You're amazing. You're going to heal. You're amazing. And it's just like, oh my gosh, everything changes. And I'm just living proof of negative, positive. Delete the negative, replace it with a positive, and you become the person you're meant to be. I could go on for hours, so I'm going to stop.
Thank you. Dr. Joe has something and DoveLight has something, and then I've got more to share. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think everything you said is very important, Evangelia. However, I think what I heard from that was that medication is bad. And that is not a message that I think is, I think that's a dangerous message to put out there. working with people who have significant anxiety and depression and psychosis, that requires medication, and it's not something that you can
I actually work with
meditate
people
away.
with anxiety, chronic anxiety and
And
depression, and I get them off the medication. So
I
I'm
just
just
wanna
saying,
hold
I don't
our-
want to debate, but
I want to be a stand for
it's a hard
holding for
situation
both.
there.
I want to interrupt you. I just
Yep.
want to be a stand for holding both. So part of what's important, and we have our panels, is that we respect and honor all the different perspectives. And so there are ways that we have all kinds of trauma and history that can lead us to, and beliefs that can lead us to be depressed and to be anxious and to need medications. And sometimes they're a step,
Right.
and sometimes we need them because biologically, for whatever reasons, we are different. Just like my girlfriend is short and needs a stool in order to reach certain things on the shelf. So
Yeah.
we need to hold space for both of them. So we
Yep.
want to really empower us in all the ways that we can make changes, and then accept the things that we aren't able to change. We haven't discovered how to change, and maybe we can't change.
I agree.
It's
And the other
definitely
thing,
possible.
yeah, for some people. And I think the other thing is, when you talk about, people come from a different place, and when you talk about people having a victim mindset as if one chooses that, and you
Nobody
can just
chooses
kind
the
of,
victimhood mindset. Nobody chooses it.
yep, I'm just saying that I think that it's not a matter of just changing your mind like that. And energy work doesn't just happen.
It's not
Uh,
energy work. It's a subconscious reprogramming.
And
Okay,
Evangelia,
how-
it's okay. It's all of your, everything that you shared. and your
I'm
approach.
getting offended right now, and I'm going to try to calm down. It seems to be a
Yeah, and
topic of issue I get issues with, and I'm okay.
The two of you have
I'm
different
not-
approaches, and your approaches don't have to negate or say anything negative
Right.
about each
No,
other's
I'm not
approaches.
negating your approaches. I'm just
I'm saying this for both of
trying
you.
to be sensitive to the audience that might pick up on some things that were said that might maybe be sensitive for some people. That's all. I'm not negating anything that you said. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say.
I understand and I respect everybody's point of views and where they're coming from with what they know, what they've experienced. And I'm just sharing what it was like and what I understood and what I overcame, because I was someone that was on medications for 20 years. And I do understand that at that time, that was the only option I was told was available. And so it did help during the time. And I want to just bring encouragement that there is a way that you don't have to be on them forever, just like Angie was able to get off. And I'm encouraging that, it's not bad. It's just that
And-
there are other options.
And I want to
That's
just include the aspect that my girlfriend is just in the middle of this right now. She has a pacemaker because her heart at this moment, the way we understand it, works differently than other people. And so that's
Mhm.
something that she needs. So some people might have a different biochemistry where so many changes that they make and other things don't make enough of a difference.
It's
So
like
I
being
lost a
told that I
patient
needed
who went off
radiation
to
and chemotherapy.
antidepressants.
It's like
I
being
lost
told
a
I needed
patient who went off
chemotherapy, but I didn't get
antidepressants.
chemotherapy.
So the two of you, please, let's everyone take a breath.
It's
Yeah.
because I don't
Deep-
have a
Excuse me,
degree, and
Evangelia,
I
just
get these
deep belly
fights
breath.
all the time.
Excuse me, I'm gonna just deep belly breath, everyone. Maybe let's take 3.
Yeah.
Okay, touch your belly, feel your belly, and take a deep breath. And aim to blow it out your mouth and breathe it slowly out of your mouth, slower than you breathe it in. Thanks. I feel grateful that we are in a place where there are so many approaches and so many perspectives. We have the opportunity to learn about so many of them and find out what works for us and explore and discover. You two are both passionate, both very passionate. You both have different perspectives, and we all benefit from hearing them. So I want to encourage you to have the spaciousness to know that, to trust yourself while other people have different perspectives. Yes, I know DoveLight wanted to say something. And then Angie.
Thank you. It was very hard for me when I was younger to go to therapies, and because there is light and shadow in everything. I met the most amazing, beautiful therapists and psychologists, but I also met the other side when they just want to rip your money off. They literally told you will never survive without me. Like everything has a shadow and a light. Whatever is your path, whatever resonates for you, whatever you feel comfortable for you, it's about self-empowerment. It's to go back to yourself and have, if you choose to, if you're ready, to have the bravery to choose for yourself, regardless of how positive or negative might come the outcome. Sometimes we make mistakes, that's how we learn, or sometimes we don't. But I think that it is very important to understand that what works for some people might not work for others, and might work for others might not work for others, because that's the beauty in this world, in every single field, spiritual, mental, psychological, physical, biological. There is always many sides, there is perspective, there is diversity. So I feel like in this ocean of choices, one of the most beautiful things you can be willing to do for yourself is make your own choice. How, you feel that it works for you, might work for you. Even if might ended up, not might ended up, then that's how you learn. So just please be mindful of that. From a spiritual point of view, the indigenous people, we see subconscious and the mind sometimes different than other terms. But we have this, from a spiritual point of view, part of our soul, our consciousness, it's connected to the pituitary gland. So that what is called the master gland. And because we have this beautiful power of creation, we come from a source of creation. This is why we have the gift to create things. And the essence of creation can go art, math, science, cooking, computers, everything. The essence of creation is creating. Because our consciousness is connected to our mind, and the consciousness comes with this gift of creation, it doesn't discriminate. This is what at the beginning of my talk we're saying. Sometimes when we're kids and we believe it's our fault, and when we were kids, it's not true. It's definitely not true that a kid has to grow up believing that everything that happened around its fault. I think it's part of the egocentrism, the human, we have to pass through it. But when we're older and our subconscious is creating from that point of view, because that's a gift, So it's very important to be mindful of our mind, our conscious, how are we speaking to ourselves, and go back again. It can be the most simple thing that you can do and the most challenging to get to know yourself. I know a lot of people who love listening music, not only because it's healthy and it's beautiful, it's just because they're afraid to listen to themselves. They get annoyed, they get angry. So one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself to avoid self-sabotage is just allow through your day to just pay attention to what you're thinking without distraction. Please put the headphones, if you choose to do so, headphone away, or do something, art, meditation, nature, whatever works for you. No, you don't have to do it for a long period of time, but just for a moment in the day, just allow yourself to hear your own mind, to be with yourself. Because if you don't like what you hear in yourself, or if you feel that you're afraid to hear it, or then that means that this is a gift, because that means that there is something, there is empowerment, that information, that's called information, that can be shifted, can be changed. But how are we going to change something if we are not able to see it or know it? So this is what self-empowerment and self-sabotage come to play again, to get to know yourself, to be able to listen to your thoughts. And we're not going to be perfect 1000%. Sometimes oh, F you, or oh, shoot. Sometimes we go like that. I get burned. Oh, shoot. It's not about being 100% perfect, but it is about to understanding that if you genuinely love somebody, if you genuinely, truly, truly love something, how will you speak with it? And is that way that you will speak to something that you genuinely love is resonating with the way that you think about yourself or you talk to yourself? The most simple things in life are the most powerful creative changes. And one of the most simple things you can do is just allow to yourself time to be with yourself. Listen, I just wanted to honor that little thing. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, DoveLight. And it looks like Angie's got something to share too.
I don't want to stay on the subject and keep it going. And Evangelia, I don't know where she went, but I do definitely hear the different spirits between the two. I think I can recognize the spirit in Evangelina, because she was addicted to drugs. I too was. So she had to find that power in herself. And that was important for her to find her own power and to come at it that way and to stop the medications and to know that she could do it by herself. So that's coming from a different direction. And I think we have to meet people at where they're at. So I understand the spirit of Angelina, and I come from the same spirit. For me, finding out that I could do it myself, that meant everything to me. I'm very passionate about teaching others you can do it for themselves. But Jo, she comes from a psychological point of view where a lot of people need that support of medication and the support of a psychologist, a psychiatrist, someone to talk them through it, to get that support. And that is and they can still reach their spiritual awareness and their spiritual self through these avenues of medication. Now, we needed to know, me and Evangelina, we needed to know that we could do it, and we did it. And now we want to teach others, you can do it too. But through that, I also was on medication, and I went to counseling, and that helped me in a lot of different ways too. And so we just meet each other where they're at. That's all.
Thank you so much for all of that. I went to rehab to get
me
sober
too.
because once I went to rehab and I got off the street drugs, I was going to psychologists, and then I became addicted to the drugs that I was being put on. So it's a very emotional, passionate journey of finding me, like you said, like, oh my gosh, this entire time, there was nothing wrong with me. I just had to really clear the things that happened to me. And that's where it goes. It's like, well, wait, I got sick and tired of people asking, what's wrong with you? It's like, wait a minute, how about we ask, what happened to you?
Right.
Because there's always a root to something, you don't just become diseased for no reason, it's like.
And I agree. I mean, I left psychology
part.
because I didn't like the diagnostic approach and labels
Yeah.
and everything. So I get that, but I worked with so many people that, I mean, I've lost clients who went off medication. So I know that part of it too.
Mhm.
But I totally understand what you're saying. I lived with a family of addicts, and I went through anorexia for most of my life.
Oh my God,
so I
me
understand
too.
that
God
part of
bless
taking
you. I'm
empowerment.
sorry.
Yeah,
I went through that too. It's
horrible
not
thing.
fun. It's not fun.
So thank you for clarifying that, Angie and Evangelia. That's good.
You literally like mended that, like made it make sense. Cause it's like, I don't want to be at war, but it feels like I've been at war with this whole subject. It's not a war. It's just an understanding of like everyone's journey. And, I'm not going to lie. My son needed those medications to get through the first 4 or 5 years of elementary school. If he wasn't on medication, I don't know if he would have learned anything or processed any information with the being highly sensitive and ADHD. It's like, no, he needed those medications. And I will always vouch for that because I was coming from a place of just help my son succeed. Like, I don't know, I want to do what's best for him. And then knowing that we were able to get him off and then help him manage the ADHD without. So it's like, I'm on both sides, and I'm grateful that you understand of why you left, because it was like, well, wait, not every psychologist wants to just hand out medications. It's like, let's work together. Let's get to this therapy so that maybe we don't need it. But if you do, some people need the medication to get through the journey because it's so intense. So I'm glad that we've come to this, because my heart was just like exploding. And I know all you were intuitive and you knew I was radiating. So thank you.
That was good.
Yeah, it's good. All right, Brooke's got some things to share.
Do we have a question, or is it okay? Do we still have time?
Go ahead. We don't have a question. I want to share a little bit too. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wish to say that right now there's 26 of us on here, and there's millions, or what is it, billions of us on this planet. We each are unique, having a unique experience, showing up in our own unique individual way. That's what we're called to be, is our unique selves. That's what we're talking about here, is discovering that unique self. And so there's not 2 camps, there's a billion. It's the perception that we are experiencing. And so in our process of healing, it is coming into asking ourselves, what is it I need? What is it? What path resonates with me? What guide or teacher? And I say that a little bit couched because I I believe all the wisdom that we each need is truly within ourselves. It's just we often need support from another to hold our hand, to provide a unconditional loving space, to help shine light on the blockages and the conditioning and the self-talk that we have. So we often do need others to help us walk through that, to help us remember who we are. But that every, I believe the us moving as a human race into love consciousness, into unity consciousness, which is where I believe, we are excitingly moving into this on the planet. We are rising our consciousness on the planet, is recognizing that we each have to find our own truth and our own path, and respect, all others. And what a beautiful opportunity. Yeah, there was some discomfort tonight. There's some discomfort, right? These are all beautiful opportunities for us to reflect on how to do that in a good way, and how to speak in a good way. And that doesn't mean we're not getting passionate, but also to identify like what resonated for you in that, what felt good, and follow, what resonates, and don't follow what doesn't resonate for you. And so, we're being human here, and how beautiful that was on display.
Well, instead of typing, I'll just say I appreciate all of us, the panel and the audience, all holding this all together. It's great. We've gotten some really supportive comments in the chat. It's great. So maybe I'll say a little bit about the theme of self-empowerment and self-sabotage. And I'm my own words for a lot of the same things that everyone has already said. If we are blaming and shaming ourselves, if we have expectations of ourselves, if we're not appreciating ourselves, acceptance of how we are, who we are, if we don't like ourselves, really like ourselves and love ourselves and celebrate ourselves, we end up in the self-sabotage. So a pathway to this is to appreciate and to accept, right? To like and love ourselves, to celebrate ourselves. And how do we get there? And I've been talking for a while about nature, nurture, and soul. And really, maybe it's nature, nurture, soul, and spirit. So I was a biologist, so I think about nature, nurture all the time, right? So my biological nature, my genetics, my nurture, which includes, right, how this life, and right, all the epigenetics and all these kinds of things, which is kind of nature and nurture. And then if I think of my individual soul and the path of my soul, and then the larger context of spirit, and so just like Susy was saying, right, it's this life, and then also our ancestors and past lives, and all these things are part of like nurture and spirit that feeds into our journey. Oh, and so how do we get to this place of like appreciation, liking ourselves? And so it's to getting ourselves to a place of discovery and playfulness, trusting that we're doing our best, being humble so that we like celebrating ourselves while at the same time being humble, being able to honor our lessons, acknowledge our lessons, know that they're lessons, that it's just a lesson, not like we're bad, right? I'm this whole being and I have a lesson, and trusting in my own goodness. And in part of all your shares, part of what was mentioned too is that as we are growing, part of what's important to allow ourselves to continue to grow, to not be in sabotage, is to let ourselves let go of relationships that don't serve us, let go of contexts and situations and work experiences and all kinds of situations and people that don't serve us. We have to be willing to play and loosen and not have the expectations of them. Like this trusting in how it's unfolding, be loose enough to play. And so I think physical body play and loosening up our bodies is one way that we get into that state of play in our minds and our hearts and our spirit. Yeah, so we can get ourselves in that place of playfulness and discovery and trust of whatever's here and how we're showing up. We get into more of that place of empowerment and openness so that we can celebrate and appreciate ourselves and what's showing up around us. So yeah, it's a little bit for me of kind of this back and forth of where we're in sabotage and empowerment. Yeah, the willingness to be in flow, willingness to play, a willingness to discover, to not know, to be comfortable in mystery, all those kinds of things. Yeah. All right, Susie.
Sorry, I thought I saw DoveLight's hand up, so I was just like hanging out. Okay. So and there you are again, DoveLight, you are sneaky. So one of the in listening to this, I have shifted this into language that I understand as part of the self-sabotage is that we're giving a part of ourselves away to whatever thing, whatever person, or whatever. And part of the self-empowerment is learning to reclaim that bit of ourselves. It's I'm not going to travel into that rocky road of forgiveness because that's not what I'm. No, don't even want to go there. But because that's kind of a loaded subject as far as condoning something. But to reclaim that bit of ourselves, we talk about our inner children and we call them back and we comfort them. We are reclaiming that part of ourselves. There's a picture of me and I'm a kid and I'm dancing in front of the Christmas tree and I'm in these I called them my clown pajamas. And I am working towards reclaiming her, that joy she felt. And it shows up in different ways. It is still joy, but it manifests differently. And so as we are working on that, we're looking at those parts of ourselves that we've lost for whatever reason, whatever circumstance. And as we find them, and this is soul retrieval, if you will, on some level, but as we learn to reincorporate them into our heart now, then that's where that amazing feeling of self-empowerment comes from. So when I'm able to tell those old paradigms, you're not good enough, or what you do is weird, or that feeling of arms crossed and yeah, right, yeah, you know this. It's like, those actually stop. And it got real quiet in my head. It's like, what do I do now? And my guides are over in the corner just going, you can talk to us. You can talk to Source. So as we're working on reclaiming our own empowering voice, that helps us further along on this journey and helps us to achieve so much more and achieve higher levels actually of inner peace and calm. And I believe it was Brooke who was talking about how we're working towards having a world in which love is our primary function here. That's our premise. That's our jumping off point. And I can sit there and go, maybe not, but it is true. We got to keep the faith. Not only that we can maintain this love, but that other people will find it again too. And that we can all work from that. Those who don't want to do that, they're going to kick and scream like toddlers, or who are learning to navigate emotions and to function. Ultimately, we will get there. And so this sort of stuff helps to put it into words and to explain that, we can do it. And that's what I like, is that there is hope, seeing that we go through a rough patch and then we come out just much better. So thanks.
I'm going to jump in and say just a couple more things before DoveLight. A link that I meant to make that I didn't make is that if we grew up in this life, or we came from ancestors or deeper past lives where we didn't experience acceptance, that those around us really liked us, that they appreciated us, that they celebrated us, that they really loved us, chances are we don't learn to do that ourselves. And so it's our opportunity to surround ourselves with enough people in this life that do those things for us and reflect that back to us, so we can learn to do this for ourselves. And sometimes our life unfolds where we do discover it ourselves, and often it's being around some other people that demonstrate that, doing that for themselves, and help us bring that to ourselves, to open to it, so that we can do it for ourselves. And that's how we propagate staying in that place of empowerment and rippling that out to others. All right, DoveLight.
Oh my God, I love so much what you were saying, Susie. Thank you, Laureli, because it's so true. It's not about giving the power away. We all have this beautiful power, this light, this willingness to change. But we are sometimes not in a part of our journey where we genuinely need help. And it's because sometimes we are in a self-destructive mode. We are really playing the game like I'm not worthy, I don't deserve anything because was not good enough. So the only thing that it's like we are used to punish ourselves for the fake image that we have for being ourselves. And this is when it's very important. Susie was saying something so beautiful about the faith and the trust, and it's so hard because sometimes we live in a crazy world. We're like, what am I doing here? Did I sign up for it? What? But there is that love, it is that faith, there is that white light at the end of the dark to exist, just like the sun will shine the next day. And we have to again remind ourselves to trust the intelligence that's making your body breathe, the intelligence that's making the planet move, the intelligence, the star, put the stars in their constellations, the intelligence that live to each plants to know how to grow, where to grow, where to go to sleep. And we are one, we're part of that intelligence. It can help us, it can move through us if we allow ourselves, even if we don't know how to love ourselves, if we're just willing to allow it, we're opening a spiritual point of light that it might evolve in ways beyond your wildest imaginations. Because sometimes we cannot really, some people, not everybody, cannot have a vision of what it's like to be happy, what it's like to be loved. But as long as you're willing to don't give up on yourself, Jen, don't give up on yourself, it can unfold. We can move forward. One of the things about self-sabotage, and I also, as many of us have passed through a several abuse, many times abuse since I was very little, very little, for many years, is that you learn, not to everybody, but some people might resonate with that, you learn to hate your body. You generally learn to hate your body. I used to go, one of the things that I used to love for spirituality, dream world, I used to escape. I didn't like to be in my body. It was not safe to be in my body. And I hated to the point that I generally didn't want to be in this planet anymore for many years. And it's not your classic, oh, I'm not from this planet. It's not very shallow, like, oh, when I'm gonna leave Mother Earth. No, it's I generally hate being in this body because this body represents the memory of the pain. I'm very sensitive to energy, so I was able to feel the emotions trapped in the cells and things like that. I didn't completely was able to understand it in a logical way, but I was able to feel it. So it was very painful to be in my body. And I used to disassociate a lot. And this is because we don't like, we have to be honest, in order to have human experience, we need a human body. But what will we do? What do we do, Miss DoveLight, if we hate being in our body, but we have to be in our body 24/7? What do we do? I feel like there is no single one way to answer that. There is not, because what worked for some might not work for others. But if you are open, you're open. If it resonates with you, if you have this willingness of this concept that there is a soul, there is a spirit who went inside your body through your mom's process of 9 months. This is an indigenous belief that your soul integrate little by little bit into your body. And it's that love, that's intelligence that's keeping your organs together, your blood flowing, your respiration, that love. So your body as an energy field, physical energy field, has a deep love for your soul. It has a loyalty beyond your wildest dreams. So we generally, and we are inflicting a little bit, no, when we're generally working here, it's with the wrong perception of hating being in this body, when in reality, it's not this body's fault. It's like everything that we pass through, all the damage, all the anger, we are self-inflicting. And it's now, this is where the fight comes, because the more damage you do to your own vessel, the more damage you will do to yourself, to your being. And that's how you self-sabotage a lot, because if you don't take care of your health, how are you going to reach spirituality? How are you going to go to work? How are you going to take care of your kids? How are you going to do your dreams if you don't take care of your body. I just wanted to honor that it was not your body's fault. It's just a vessel who genuinely loves your spirit, who genuinely loves your journey, and is doing the best it can to help you to move forward. It's just we have to learn to reconnect with it, to listen to it, because sometimes we get angry when we get a headache or stomach ache or we get sick, and we, oh, why my belly is hurting or why my head is hurting, and we forgot the duality, which is that your body is also doing the best it can to heal itself, and perhaps it's asking you for help. In might not speak English or Spanish, but it's trying to do it through pain. So another form to avoid self-sabotaging is making peace with your body, whatever that might feel for you. Make peace with the way that you are. And it can be hard in a society who's constantly telling you how to look, where to look, if you're something big or small or this or that, you know. But if you again allow yourself to feel yourself and to feel the love, yeah, the love that your body is emanating for your being, for your spiritual being, it can help you to be grounded and can help you to make peace with it. And like Susy was saying, forgiveness might be a hard topic for some people, come easier than others. Some people needs to process the feeling. Some people needs to healthy complain and be angry about it before reaching to that point. But unless to have this awareness to make peace with your vessel, that it was not your vessel's fault, and it's doing the best it can to help you to be here. And please do not take for granted that love, because we sometimes take for granted our health or the ability to see or hear or touch. So thank you, Spirit, for the blessing to be here with our vessels. Aquí, I'm complete.
Thank you. Dr. Joe's next.
Thank you for mentioning that, DoveLight. I think one of my yoga teachers says that we are all divine beings having a human experience. She calls them our earth suits, which I kind of like. And having experienced anorexia, body images obviously has been one of my things. And I learned that, and the first time that I experienced yoga was in a yoga body image class when I was in treatment. And I remember going into Warrior 2 and actually having the thought, oh, I don't have to loathe my body, because I actually went into my body because I had realized I was living from here up. And I think a lot of women and men who experience trauma disembody. So, just really completely not in their body because it doesn't feel safe there. So yoga allowed me to enter into my body. And it is a very, very healing practice for some people. And as well as like meditation, all of the stuff that we do, any kind of energy work. And I also think that for me, what helps is focusing on what my body does for me rather than size or shape or how it looks. So I think about, all the amazing things that my body does without me even thinking about it, breathing, what the organs do, digesting, all of those things. And, I look at my hands. Thank you, hands, for being able to manipulate tools and allowing me to write and allowing me to wave and, all the things. And, go through each body part and think about what they do for you, what their function is. Instead of, oh, I didn't paint my, well, I got nail polish on, but, instead of picking apart what's wrong about them, just think about the utility of our bodies, and get the focus off of how they look, because our society is really harsh in terms of, the ideal body image. And if you look at history, it hasn't always been this way. So a lot of it is just driven by the market, driven by consumerism, driven by, cosmetic and diet industry. So that's the other thing too. Sometimes if you study the history of all of that, then you can get good and mad about, why am I falling for this bullshit? Why am I buying into this? This isn't according to my values. I don't believe this, and I'm not going to, base how I feel on myself based on all of this, because that's one part of it, obviously, but it can play a strong role in it. So thank you.
Yeah, so part of what that got me thinking again is John Gottman is a relationship scientist here in the Seattle area. And one of the things he's discovered is that the happiest couples have a relationship of appreciation to criticism of about 7-1, I think it is 6 or 7-1. And I like to take that statistic and apply it to ourselves so that people that are healthy have
Okay, no problem.
a ratio of appreciation to criticism of like 7-1. So the things that you were doing, Dr. Joe, and listing off different aspects of our body and how we can appreciate different parts of who we are and just how we function. I think those are great examples of getting to that 7-1. And one, so that if we have trouble getting started on appreciation, it's great to start with little things like, I so appreciate that my ears hold up my glasses, you know, like my heart, right, that my heart is pumping and that my lungs are breathing and breathing so deeply, and right, the rhythms and all the different kinds of things like that. Yeah. So yeah, so great to be in that place, and also great in terms of building that ratio for ourselves. All right, well, those of you out there in the audience, I want to make sure that you know that we are open for questions. We can take a question on anything. It could be a question on the theme of self-empowerment and self-sabotage. Chances are all of us will have something to say about this topic in your question, because as you can tell, we got opinions and we got lots to share. We are passionate about the things we have to share. Yeah, so we'd love to answer a question. Before we answer a question, I want to make sure you know that if you ask, and when we answer, we go deeper than you want us to go, or we talk about topics you don't want us sharing about, please interrupt us and give us guidance so we honor you in the way that we answer. And this is a great opportunity for all of you to be learning from all we're saying and shares that people have had in the chat and all the questions that people ask and that we answer, even if you don't ask a question. I mentioned earlier, it's a great opportunity to practice opening to your intuition. So if someone has a question, we would love for you to let us know. We ask for you to pay first. It is $20 to $28 sliding scale, or $12 for BIPOC folks as a step of making reparations. And we're open for questions. And if this is just a conversation panel, that's okay. This is just a conversation panel, and we will go. The energy keeps us going for a bit longer, and then we will finish. It's all right. So yeah, if anyone wants to ask a question, please do let us know. And yeah, anything else bubbling up for the members on the panel? Brooke's got something.
Along the lines of affirmations and positive self-talk, I think a very important one is, see if that's okay. I was just checking if that was a question. So, is telling yourself that you are safe. So I am safe on earth. I am safe in this body. My body is safe. Those, especially those of us that have experienced severe trauma, but isn't trauma, you know, that's our catchword now. I mean, all of us coming down on this earth from the expansive place of the other side, where you are in a light body that is expansive, and coming down into this earth suit, as you called it, is in and of itself traumatizing to the psyche. And so so there is a wounding that comes in with that, and a wide spectrum of how much that affects one. But those that are on this path, that is often a significant wound. And then we come here, and perhaps we come into a family that is not loving, or we do come into one that's not loving, but eventually we have friends or someone that comes in, and we experience pain, and there is a moment that your mind says to you, I am not safe here on this earth. And that is often where we disconnect from earth. That is often when we start living in that neck up mindset, because we are not comfortable being in our bodies, feeling grounded to the earth. And so that is one of the services I provide, is that healing of the separation wounds, reconnecting yourself with Mother Earth, with the the crystalline grid of your body connecting to her, and knowing that you are safe here in this body and on this earth. And so using that mantra, those mantras of affirmations, I am safe, I am secure, I just driving down the road, I am safe in my car, I am safe as I'm driving, you just enter a new group of people that you're around it, you come into this group, I am safe, it just reassuring yourself that on a regular basis. And I am grounded, I am connected to the earth. Yeah.
Go ahead, Evangelia.
I'm just so grateful at everyone's wisdom today, because everyone has walked and gotten through these dark, hard battles, and the eating disorders, and not valuing yourself, and having this false perception when you look in the mirror, when it's not really what you're seeing, and what you're not seeing what everyone else is seeing, when you're running off of a false perception and a false subconscious mind full of these beliefs running your reality. And I actually had to go through my organs failing, like doctors saying your organs are failing, and it's like, okay. And then finding out through alternative practitioners that my liver really wasn't failing. It was just strapped, like webbed from an emotion code of like abandonment and shame and like all this stuff. And you know what? It was like, oh, when I released that and we let go of it, it was like my liver just started to function better. Like all this emotion of attachments and beliefs allowed me to start seeing my organs to function better, me to look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, you have been through so much. Your body is amazing. Look at your warrior wounds. Like these are scars of battles I made through, like I got through. And so I have this, being able to delete all those false beliefs and upload them. It's like I'm looking in the mirror and my own mind is telling me, good job, you're amazing, you got through it. And that was really, that's a new mindset for me. I've only had that mindset for 5 years now, because I'd been suicidal since I was 10 years old. That was the perfect solution. When you don't think you're worthy of food, you don't deserve to eat that chocolate bar, but you're going to eat it, and you're going to eat 10 of them in front of everyone. Like, people don't understand that it can get better, and that you can change. And like DoveLight says, like, once you give yourself permission, just a little bit of permission to go, you know what? No, this isn't what I want for myself. I deserve more. And reaching out. And I know reaching out can be so hard because it's so scary, and you're so ashamed at the thoughts that you're feeling and the way that you're looking at yourself. And I just want to encourage anybody out there that has those false sabotaging perceptions of themselves, that we're all these amazing panelists and practitioners are living, breathing testimonies that we can overcome that, and that there is another way. There is another you, and it's not that false that you I didn't know how to even honor my own body, even as a mother, not knowing self-care. Like Dr. Joe said, it's not really about getting your nails done. It was like, I had to learn how to take detox bath and calm my nervous system and go to sleep at a good time. Like, it wasn't just about caring for everybody else. And a lot of moms out there tend to forget to care about themselves too. And then they start getting all these adrenal fatigue issues and hormone imbalances. We're just living, breathing proof that we're going to encourage and empower you, that you can take your power back, and that you're not a victim, and that there's a million and amazing practitioners out there that are literally waiting to love on you and to love your inner child and to guide you in the right direction to the best version of you. That's it. That's what I had to say.
Thank you. Yeah, all the passion, all your passion. I know we've got a question that's coming. It looks like you want to come on screen and ask. It looks like, all right, I'm going to bring you up. Great. Daniel, what question would you like us to answer?
Let's see. Mic on? So I'd like to do something a little non-standard, is I'd like to pose a question that's a general question, not to be answered to me specifically, but more answered to all of us. And it's a question that some of us may not relate to and may not choose to engage, and that's perfectly fine. But it's something that I think is a somewhat underrepresented perspective at some of the MeWe events. And also I'd like to, well, let me see if I can phrase it succinctly. All of the search for healing and the efforts to heal and recover our sense of wholeness and strength and find the deeper truth of who we are involves so much of our conscious process and uncovering our personal strengths, I guess you could say, our personality level truths. My own life has shown me that that's only part of the story. The other part of the story that our society certainly doesn't respect as much, in my opinion, is that there are parts of us that are beyond ourselves, that we have to invite to take us further, even surrender to, can be part of the experience. And so I would like those who feel like they have something they'd like to share to speak to that matter of maybe discerning when it's something that is, involves our engaging our personal level strengths and what needs to be surrendered to a different dimension of us, how to discern the difference, how to go about doing that. I hope that makes sense. And if I could also request that the answer be, as much as possible, be aimed gender neutral, since it's not anywhere on the gender spectrum native, if I can put it that way. Thank you.
And I'm just wondering if you might want to leave it vague to see what we do. And is there any other way that you want to ground parts of us beyond ourselves? Do you want to leave it vague and see what we do?
You mean, do I want to label it?
Define it anymore in any way, or give an example, or you might not want to. I'm open to whatever you want to.
I kind of feel to let people have, share their own sense of definition around that.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to reread aspects of it. So there's in the search for healing, about recovering our sense of wholeness. So much of what we talk about is conscious process, recovering our personal strengths. And Daniel, you've shared that in your own life. What you've seen is that this is only part of the story, that parts of us are beyond ourselves, that I don't quite have it right, but we have to invite ourselves to take us further, to surrender to the journey of these parts beyond ourselves. How do we discern? How do we discern when it's our personal journey, when it's something about here and this being, maybe, and our personal journey, and when is it to surrender to a different dimension? So how do we discern and how do we go about it? And you're asking for our answer to be done in gender neutral language. Did I reflect that?
Yeah, great.
Okay, great. So
and I just want to underscore that the larger part of ourselves is part of ourselves. I'm not saying how do we surrender to something that's not part of us.
All right, great. Okay, let's see. So in line at the moment, we've got Angie, Dr. Joe, and then DoveLight. Go ahead, Angie. And I'm going to just, I'll keep us down to just do the 2.5 minutes each, and then I'll let us know when we go a little long so we know to close up so we all have time. Go ahead, Angie.
It's a great question. It is all together one. whether we go into the spiritual or not. And one of the biggest ways, because what you're talking about is understanding and not living in the lower chakras, the solar plexus down, where it keeps us rooted in the things of the earth, and understanding the spiritual lessons that we're having, and understanding ourselves through them. And the biggest way that spirit talks to us before we get into the intuition and the meditating and listening to our, our voices, our guidance and stuff, is the gut, our listening to our reaction. And when our gut tells us something's wrong and we feel tension, that is because we're feeling a discord and something that is not living in integrity to who we are at the moment. So we have to stop and find out, what is that discord? Why am I not feeling this go ahead in my gut that says, keep doing what I'm doing? So then we have to stop and understand what the discord is that we're feeling. That is spirit. That is spirit for all of us. A lot of us like to say, well, that's just our instinct, gut reaction, but that is our spirit saying, go this way. We all have a love vibration that we're striving for. This source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, is the same as saying a love vibration. So our whole life, we're looking to find that love vibration and to get ourselves to there. So when we're starting to gut is not coming in and saying like something's wrong, something's stopping you, saying stop, find out what is causing us not to hit that love vibration, and take a moment and find out how you truly feel about it. Because when you start living in integrity with who you are, you're going to start bringing around people who are just like you. And when you're around people often that you don't really care for, that aren't really who you are, it is often because we are not living in integrity with who we are at the moment. So when you start living in integrity of who you feel, start believing, vocalizing what it is you think, you feel, you whether it's right or wrong, no matter what, when you start living in integrity and your gut says, this is how I want to be, this is the right way to go. People come into your awareness. You meet friends that feel the same way as you do and who can support you and trust you, and you trust others and you can love, and all of that comes in. But the very first thing that we all miss, the one thing that we all miss, and we are so in our head that we forget to feel how our body feels about it. And that is the first thing your spirit does, is to try to connect with you, is listen. For me, I was in a marriage of 8 years that I needed to get out of because my body was ready to do this spiritual evolving. Now, I didn't quite know what I was doing. I didn't know I was ready to evolve into this next phase, but my body did. So my body did. It gave me something I've never had. I had migraines for 30 days. I had migraines. I had migraines so bad. I had to leave work. I couldn't get out of bed. I 3 times a day, I would have these horrible migraines, and I would have to talk myself up the ledge until I started to feel better. And then the next one would hit. And it literally took my body to say, it's time to reevaluate what you're doing in your life. And so a lot of us forget to feel what's happening in our body in order to understand what your guidance is trying to tell you. I don't know if that answered your question, but that was my answer.
That's great. We're all going to find out more about what the question is as we all answer. Dr. Joe is next.
Thanks for the question, Danielle. It is a great question. Since I practice yoga and believe along that philosophy, they talk about 5 sheaths or koshas, which are layers of the body. And the first one is Anandamaya, which is the physical layer. And each layer goes deeper into who you really are. Then Pranamaya, which is energy body, and Manamaya, which is the mental body. And then Vijnanamaya, which is wisdom. And then at the very core is Anandamaya, which is your bliss body. So that is your true self. And that is the plane where you get to if you follow the yogic path, which is 8 limbs of yoga. And ultimately, it's the final path is there's philosophy of how to live. And then there's the asanas or the practice of yoga. And then there's different stages of meditation where you can get to the bliss body. So that's kind of the way I see, and I don't know if that's the question that you're asking either, but that's the way that I see it, is kind of surrendering to, because when you do meditate, then you do have to let go a little bit, especially if you're going to get to the deepest levels of meditation. You really have to surrender your ego and a lot of different things to allow your mind to go there. So, and if you reach the deepest level of meditation, you are going to be connected with just pure consciousness, universal consciousness, which is bliss. And that is what connects all of us. So that's what we all are made of, and that's how we're all connected. So if you reach that level, then you are sort of on a different plane, different level of existence. And it's bliss. I haven't quite reached that yet, so I can't describe it to you, but I've gotten close. So I think maybe that's one way to look at it too. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. We've got DoveLight next, and then Susy, and then Evangelia.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for honoring with your presence, with your kindness, for you are giving the gift of knowledge and wisdom, for you are thinking about others. There is nothing more spiritual than to be a human being. Because we have this understanding of our multidimensionality, our multiple ways, that one true, they might feel different or be perceived different at this point as humanity, is that oneness. If it resonates with your path, of your soul, whoever is listening, we have to genuinely just observe, feel, touch, hear. That's part of spirituality. When you're breathing the air, you're breathing the same air that your ancestors, the dinosaurs, the ones before you have breathed. And this is recycling and going back to the atmosphere. Will be breathed, the same air will be breathed for your descendants and the generations to come. There is so multiple diversity ways of being to see, feel, know this oneness. Planet Earth is one of the planets, one of the beautiful experience where we can learn what not love is, when we can have the illusion of separation. Because for every experience where we feel the illusion of separation, we have the opportunity to grow and expand in the truthfulness of our oneness. So this is the back and forth, the in and out, to re-encounter yourself, to remember yourself, to refeel yourself, to re-experience that love. This planet, one of many, it's about mastering love. And love comes in many different ways, in diversity of ways. There is so many thousands of possibilities that there is no such a thing as a deadline. There is no such a thing as a goal or as a meta for where we have to achieve some sort of highly spiritual alignment of some perfections. We all are, every single one of us has never lost the connection to the spirit, to the divine, to the higher self of unconditional love and powerful and wisdom. It is just because the human experience is more of the physical realm with the vibration of the density that we have this gift to experience the illusion of disconnection. But the human experience that we are so-called lifetime, it's only a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye. It will go very fast. And in the realms of eternity, there is no such a thing as, wow, I made it. Because when you are eternal, you are eternal. You're just experiencing. So understand that you always are whole, and you always have the gift to feel disconnected. You always have the gift to feel lost. And it is a gift, the experience. It is not your reality of who you genuinely are. It is the gift of the experience, because from that point, we can re-evaluate, re-expand, re-experiment that love, that genuine love. So no matter how big, small, or concerned or worried you are about your life right now, or your physical being, or your emotional and mental, know that the power will always be in the present moment. So if it comes from what we call as past life, ancestral, healing, inner child, woundness, subconscious, the moment that you're willing to do something for you in the present moment, you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for others. So we continue with the expansion of creation in the universe of love. So be it, so it is.
Thanks so much, DoveLight. Susy's next.
Okay. So right along with that self-sabotage and self-empowerment, I'm like, I don't know if I got the answer right, but you know what? I'm going to say my answer anyway and not worry about it. So the way I understood the question is that there is a joining of the physical, the 3D, and the source. And personal experience that I have was 10 years ago when I had cancer. And because I was healing ancestral family stuff, I set my intention that I was going to change the end of the story. I was going to change the end of the story, God damn it, because that was my place. And so I called in every source, every bit of help that I could, whether it was having somebody drive me or provide my family food or calling in Reiki. People would come over and do Reiki on me, or sending out, having a particular kind of, F cancer campaign on my Facebook page, all this. I called in all of the resources that I had at my disposal. And here I am, 9 years clear. So for me, it is understanding, as DoveLight said, that there is this deep connection of source and physical, and that we don't have to function. I don't think that any of us function exclusively in one. We're not all woo-woo, but we're not all physical, and that it is that joining of the different energies, the different frequencies, the different vibrations, the different modalities that help us to navigate in the life that we have. And it is because we're all energy and we can all shift. And as we're all shifting, then that means we're shifting the energy. And since we're all energy, everybody else can shift. So that's what I did, was to call in all the favors, if you will. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Susie. Evangelia is next.
I'm definitely going to piggyback off of Susy, because that's basically kind of what I was going to talk about. When I heard him use the word surrender, that can mean so many different things to so many different people. And like Angie said, whether it's divine, God, creator, once you get to a point where you can acknowledge there's a power much greater than you, and you're willing to surrender to that, not knowing the outcome, but having a faith and saying, just like Susy said, you know what? No, I'm going to change the ending. I'm going to change the story. So that's like the title of this, my second book, is The Power of Surrender. It's funny that we're talking about that, because so many times in my life, I had to surrender. I literally would go out in the middle of my yard and get on my knees and start crying and saying, I don't know who you are, what you are, creator, your power. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And I don't like the story. I want it to change. I'm willing to give up everything I'm doing. If I'm doing it wrong, I'm willing to sacrifice my relationships and my friends. And you know what? It's like this, you just kind of have to let it go. And then there's like, for me, when I did my final surrender in 2018, when my organs were failing and I was sick and I didn't know what to do and I wanted to die, I finally just said, fine, I give up. I surrender. If there's a power much greater than me, and there's a purpose behind this journey, and there's a purpose behind this pain, and there's another version of me outside of this, show me. And I just surrendered to that. And it was like God showed me the version I am today. And then led me down this journey where I had to be willing to sacrifice everything what everyone was telling me. Don't do this, don't do that. And it was like, nope, the divine's leading me. And I believe in the end of the story is I'm going to be a survivor. I'm going to overcome stage 2 cancer and stage 4 Lyme disease and all the things. And I did. And because like Susie said, you just kind of it's a form and level of letting go of your own agenda, your own idea of what you think the outcome is, because you know the power of the divine God has a much better plan. And it's surrendering to that plan that you don't know. And that's, for me, that's been my journey with surrender, is every time I've surrendered it over and just let it go, it was like that it got transformed. Letting go of, oh my gosh, I might not be a mother. They're telling me I'm never going to have children, and I let that go. Fine, I'm going to enjoy the life and the marriage I have with my husband. And you know what? 3 months later, after 3 years of trying, boom, got pregnant. So it's like letting go of this stress stress in the cells. It's like, all of a sudden things happen. And I really hope that every practitioner today shared a little nugget that he can take home and apply and take these pieces and come up with his own way to surrender to whatever power that is. And I'm just, God, everyone's advice is just magical today. I'm just so amazed. I hope that helped. That's my little 2 cents.
Great. It's
of
great hearing
surrender.
all our different perspectives. Well, my perspective comes from my own work, right? My own perspective of all this. So I was trying to make sense of the question, and is to me the concept of purpose and like being of service in some way, being of service in some way that's wanted, that is outside and beyond me. So to me, that's a version of an answer. And it's not like striving to be of service, not striving to find my purpose or expressing it. It's to find a way that's in flow with that, with what's wanted, with what's emerging through me and what's wanted. And then I thought about my talents, because I do the wheel of the 7 talents, and I realize each of them has an interaction with other people, other beings, or the world, right? Whether it's loving them, inspiring them, playing with them, stretching out beyond to bring something new in for them, for themselves and them, directing others in some way, or accomplishing themselves in some way or the outside world, or like absorbing and making sense of whatever the things out here, in here, out here, kind of mapping. So all of them have to do with interaction. And then I get to thinking of, oh goodness, I learned this from somebody's focused somatic psychotherapist and some more psychotherapy language, and I totally don't remember specifics. But the idea of like 2 big fears and like the extreme versions of the 2 fears are, in my language, like being enmeshed or like crushed, like absorbed into something else so that we don't exist as a being anymore, or that we are alone, so like dissociated, separate, so that we like just, we fall all apart, or that we're crushed. And like the dance in the middle, but the big thing is that these are all interaction, right? So it's our interaction, our souls are being interaction with other. And so I just go back to all these things are the interaction with other. And so that way the expression of, I go back to this, so there's bringing me to this, but then the bringing me to this is all for the purpose of the interaction with other. And so to me, that's me beyond me. So yeah, that's my view of that. Any other comments on this from hearing each other, or just anything else we're thinking of? DoveLight, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Laureli, for mentioning about the flow, and thank you, Susy and Evangelina. Thank you, everybody. So somebody in the chat was saying trust, and Monica was saying trust, and I cannot be more amazed by surrender. This is one of the hardest lessons. I'm still myself working on it. I was asking for something for 3 years, and it never happened until I just have to give up. But it's not a give up of your dream. It's not a give up of your willingness to wish something. It's like sometimes we get caught up in our own way. And because we are so powerful and we generally want this thing or situation or thing to happen, we combine a little bit with fear, a little bit with anxiety, a little bit of guilt, that we form like these energy circles. It's like a rubber band. It gets bigger, 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 bigger. And sometimes the thing that we want the most, sometimes we blockage it for this mixing of things and that. And you generally has to give up in a way, not that you're not desiring it anymore, but it's a high level of trust and faith. The power who created the stars, the power the intelligence beyond, it's basically reclaim, and that is one way to see it. There's many ways to see it, we're different. Basically, you are reclaiming your divine right to be part of the flow, of the part of the oneness, the part of the energy circle. Like the planets knows their circle, their circular rotation. The moon knows its rotation. Planet Earth knows the rotation. The pigeons and the birds know how much warmth to give their birth. There is a divine intelligence that creates this whole planet, this whole universe. And guess what? Whatever you want to recognize it or not, you are part of that intelligence. You are part of this planet. You are part of the cycle. Your own body has the sleeping and waking up cycle. You eat your food, the acids come, and then they gotta go to the bathroom, you know, your own body. If we are men of a living flow or love, universal intelligence, so you can call it God, Buddha, divine light, source, creator. When we genuinely are surrendered in a way, we are genuinely just allowing ourselves to align in the flow, in the place of the universe. And it's not saying that they're better or worse. It's that we are reclaiming our part in that oneness through this higher, bigger power of intelligence. Not because they're better or worse than us. It's just that right now we are in the human form. We're claiming this divine family, divine wisdom, divine allowance, this trust to help us move forward. And then again, I'm still learning this lesson myself, because it has been one of the most hard lessons. I was very caught up in my own belief of not deserving what I wanted, the time that I wanted the way that I wanted, and it never worked. But the universe knew what I needed the most at that moment. At that moment, I didn't need what I thought I needed. At that moment, I need to release my anger. I needed to release my frustration. I needed to release my self-hatred. And probably the universe or divine, it's so smart, and they genuinely love you so much. I'm telling you, they love you so much that they know if they will have given to you what you wanted at the moment that you wanted, you have probably will self-sabotage, not accept it, not allow it, I'm not worth it. So again, this is not, they keep telling me, this is not about being passive to your dream. It is to allow your alignment, reclaim your alignment in the oneness, so that you listen and move forward with divine guidance. They will guide you to the steps and to the people and to the situation, because you are trusting now that you are part of this flow of the planet, of the universe, of the oneness that you already are. And please, they're telling me to tell you guys that there is nothing wrong with getting out of that, because that was part of the journey, that was part of the process of wisdom. But you have to remember when this dance that you can reclaim this beautiful gift of unconditional love. And unconditional love is something that at this moment in history will bring it back forward, because we're willing to be open to see the infinite of for
The last bit of the message is not.
we will
DoveLight, we're losing you.
if we don't surrender one and sorry, I'm passing that to me. Anyway, no, oh my goodness,
I think we got most of that.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I leave. I think I'm behind. Anyway, I was feeling the beans. All right, sorry about that.
No, it's good. Yeah, you're still frozen. So maybe turn your video on off. Daniel, is there anything that you want to come on and say about your perspective about this, or any comments on what we shared?
Well, I mostly wanted to not, because I wanted the panelists to be able to step out. And I appreciate everybody's searching for what's their truth in that moment about this, because that to me is the important, is not knowing an answer, but searching for an answer and reporting what we find from the search. So I appreciate that effort. I suppose I could say that I'm pretty acutely aware just from my own personal journey through life, and it's been a lot of years through a lot of trauma and trauma resolution and no counseling along the decades, that we're in a society in general, in Western society, that emphasizes the 4 directions and doesn't acknowledge the up and the down support, if I can put it that way. It doesn't recognize the support of nature, of earth, of embodiment energy, and it doesn't acknowledge the support of spirit presence, and spirit, forward encouragement, the wind in our sails. So I just wanted to ask people to help balance that out a bit in our discussion tonight. And I also appreciate everybody giving their portion, because it's, you know, sometimes I look at life as it's a big puzzle and we all have to put our pieces on the table. And then the picture makes sense when we put, but if we hold back our pieces, then we don't get the full picture. So I appreciate everybody dropping it in. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you so much for asking a deep question. So we get to find out.
I love your, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say I love your perspective, Daniel. That's really cool. Thank you.
Yes. All right, great. Well, let's see. So I'm thinking it might be a good time to kind of close up tonight. Practitioners, if there's anything else you want to say about the theme in general, go ahead. Let's jump in and say that now. And then after that, we're going to go through and everybody reintroduce themselves, share about your special and where people can find you, etc. Is anything else about the theme? I guess one little thing I can say that leads into another panel that's coming up, the manifestation panel. Something that was said here just reminded me, think about that, is like if we opened it too much, we can't hold it, we can't integrate it, kind of thing. Gosh, it's open to us to be willing. It's up to us to notice what flow we are integrating and not, and to let ourselves rest, right? That part of that surrender is rest, and let ourselves feel supported and connected to nature and grounded, and breathing spirit in and out so that we might open and allow more. Oh yeah. Learning to discern that and tune that and know when we're in a good amount. All right. Brooke, go ahead. And then Angie.
So my mode of work is healing, is energy healing more than just talking. And so I'm going to just for a moment, a meditation or a affirmation or a quiet time that I think is useful, and perhaps you can take this in as I share it, is starting in the center of your being and feeling your energy field connect down the light of who you are, the spirit of you, who you are, down into the center of the earth, and connect in there, knowing that you are of the earth. You are the same elements of the earth, that you are held here by the earth. And then bringing that back up into the center of your being, and then connecting up with the above, with source, with creator, with the great mystery, whatever word there that fits for you, and recognize and see that when you connect in here, you are the divinity that represents. You are a reflection of that divinity. You are an extension of source, and bringing that energy back down into the center of your being. And this is our pillar of light. This is our connection at all times, where we are connected both to the earth and to the above, and bringing that into the center of our being and letting it expand out. That we are here to be both fully human and fully divine. And this is the challenging tightrope that we walk, and we are being called not to go up into the mountains and be fully divine, in quiet solitude. We are asked to be doing it in daily life, feeling all the emotions and having all of the experiences. And this, this is perfectly imperfect. We are all each doing this perfectly and perfectly. And so this connection in on a daily basis for me with this pillar of light, knowing that I am grounded in all directions, including the above and below, is very powerful. And so I just wanted to share that with you as a ending here.
Thank you. Angie.
To go a little further with what Brooke said, we are fully, we have our chakras. We have our root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown. But what people forget, and is just as equally important, that opens up as soon as we start listening to our intuition, is our soul star chakra, which makes us cements our light, like pillar of light to the celestial. We are cemented in the guidance of the cosmos. We are part of the cosmos, and equally have the earth star chakra, because we are part and cemented into the earth. We are a piece of it. We feel both, and we are supposed to feel both. And by feeling both, it allows us to move and intentionally move. And if anything that we say today gives us a sparkle of recognition, a resonance that you think, oh my God, that sounds kind of right. If anything gives any kind of resonance to you at all, when we talk spiritual, what you're doing is your spirit is remembering. All we are is a voice for you to remember who your spirit is. So if there's an inkling of something that makes a little bit of sense to you, take time with it, sit down with it, open your awareness to it, because we're just here to reflect back what something you already know, what something you're already feeling is resonating with you. And if you feel any resonance with us, it's your spirit remembering who you are. And that's just all that we are here doing today, is to remind us for who we are. We are both earthbound and spirit bound. We are both spiritually abound is what I'm trying to say. So it's just a remembering of it all. And that's basically it.
Great. Anyone else? Anything else?
I do.
Go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody out there that's listening that God Creator only gave us all an individual fingerprint for a reason. Nobody on the planet has the same fingerprint. So to think that we're all supposed to be the same is ludicrous. And to just keep seeking that inner person inside of you, to embrace that authentic person inside of you, and that it's okay that you're not like everyone else. You're not meant to be like everyone else, and that there's so many ways that you can take your power back.
Great. DoveLight, go ahead.
Just to close, and just to say that I am grateful to you to be here, even if you're watching this in the recording later on. And sometimes when the mirror looks so foggy that you can even see yourself, or you still see the parts that you don't like, or you still can allow yourself, or some of people who are watching are still in the part of the journey when they generally cannot see their good in themselves, so they can still not love themselves. So they will, first thing, they're so used to pinpoint the imperfect things or the negative things, just so that even that is communication. As I said before in previous panels, our emotions, our feelings, we are entitled to them. We're entitled to feel them. We are acknowledged, but we are not those emotions. You can feel angry, you can feel sad, but you are not angerness per se. You are not sadness per se. It's just a gift to be able to feel and be honest. Sometimes in order for us to change something, we have to be able to see it. And if you are at the point where you can generally still don't say, I love you for exactly who you are, the way you are, and I accept as you are, that's okay, because then there is communication that this emotion is to be expressed. Just be willing to, don't give up on yourself. And if you have come to this panel or come to this type of place, it's because there is something in you, there's a power beyond you, that's part of you, that's still connected with you, which is moving you forward. Because sometimes our belief in God can be like dismissed when we see all darkness and all bad and everything bad happen to us, but we will not care. But it's not it's our own concept, perception of creator. It's not the universal love that it is. So with that being said, Are we in the saying goodbye? Or no? Or were you saying the class closing words?
I'm just waiting to see if anyone had anything else about the theme first, and then we're going to close out. Yeah, we can start
Oh,
closing
yeah,
out.
because
Well
I was
done.
about to say,
Why don't you go ahead and,
thank you.
yeah, you go
No,
ahead.
it's okay.
No,
Okay,
really. Do
good.
you want to go first?
Okay.
Go ahead, go first.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Sweet dreams, sleep well, and remember, I have a coupon code Spring for 20% off any reading, any divine insight at DoveLightOracle.com or any session of choice. And I'm very grateful to be here. And remember, we all still growing and learning, even ourselves here in the panel. So thank you.
Thank you, DoveLight. Who wants to go next? Anyone in particular want to jump in? All right, how about Dr. Joe? Go ahead.
Thanks everyone for being here tonight, and thank you panelists. It was great to hear from everyone. And I have a special 50% off the first coaching session or yoga session, and the code is MeWe50, and my website is tulasoul.com. That's TULASOUL.com. And I look forward to future events here. Thanks to Laureli, and thanks everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Joe. Angie, want to go next?
I am Angie, Spirit Energy Guide and Manifesting Coach, and I have the special of 20% off of a 30-minute intuitive coaching session. And you can reach me at universalrestorativeenergy.com or Angie at universalrestorativeenergy.com. So thank you, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Great. Who wants to go next? Do I call on someone? Evangelia.
Anyone that is seeking cellular health and beauty transformation, go to cellularhealthandbeauty.com, where you can learn and be guided on how to change your vibration and your cellular activity and use safer products.
Great. Brooke.
Okay, next. My name's Brooke, and Brooke Bucci with Journey with Brooke, and my website is journeywithbrooke.com. I have a MeWe special. It's MeWe 15% off a session, and I do multidimensional energy healing, shamanic work, and emotion code work, and I assist those that are wanting to consciously conceive and birth and welcome their babies in to this world in a gentle, loving, conscious way. So spread the word if you know anyone that is pregnant or wanting to get pregnant. Thanks.
Thanks, Brooke. Susy.
I'm Susy Parker Goins of Blue Lightning Healing. You can find me at bluelightninghealing.com. You can also find me on Spotify with my podcast that's called Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. Oh my God, I just almost said medications. No, Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. Channel, talk to your spirit guides, talk with your ancestors, do what we need to in the moment to help you move forward. I have a MeWe 20 is a coupon code you can use on the website when you schedule, so you can get 20% off any kind of service, any kind of session. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing panel. So thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you practitioners. Thank you, Laureli. We'll see you soon.
It's been great having you. Several people have asked about some contact info, so I just put it in the chat again. And then I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. I read your eyes, read your soul, and answer questions about your soul, your path, your purpose, your lessons, give you suggestions on how to shift through your lessons. And I love to connect you with others that support you on your journey. My special is a free 20-minute connection with me, or come free to one of my drop-in dating coaching and matchmaking sessions. I'd love to give you support and advice to better understand you, your journey, who you've dated, why you've dated the people you've dated, and how you can find the people that you'd love to connect with. And I particularly like to connect you with soulmates. So you can learn more about me at matchmakingsoulmates.com, and that's all in the chat. And at MeWe, we have lots of other upcoming events. So I post them in the chat again. Oh, and let me also post in the chat Let me post the events, and then let me put in again, if you would like to give us feedback on today, we would appreciate it very much. I posted it in the chat a few times. We have a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice if you fill out the feedback form and give us your contact info. So that's in the chat too. Oh yeah, so Brooke does a free 30-minute consult. Okay, great. So Brooke's got that as well. And some of our upcoming events at MeWe online, we have Practical and Mystical Manifestation, Practical and Mystical Manifestation. That's Saturday, May 13. So that's coming up next Saturday. Tuesday, May 16. Start Grow Your Intuitive Business, Mentoring and Coaching Drop-In with Lisa and myself. Thursday, May 18, we have a panel on wounds and lessons from our ancestors. Saturday, May 20, we have a MeWe Metaphysics and Intuition Practice Circle. We had one of them in person in Eugene last weekend. That was great fun. So that's something we can start doing at our fairs too, is having a practice circle there. So we have it online Saturday, May 20. And then in person, our next fairs are, we're going to be in Portland, June 3-4, in Linwood outside Seattle, June 10-11. And then Anacortes is coming up July 8-9. So lots of stuff happening. I think I'm going to Anacortes next week to drop off flyers. And we are excited to be with you again in person in the Pacific Northwest and online. Thanks everyone for coming to support this whole journey. Everyone that shows up, the panelists and everyone in the audience, and learning together. This is how we're able to have continued events and discuss all these great topics and get great questions and all expand together. Well, thank you so much, everyone. You can find out more about all of our events at mewefairs.com.